we are in Tulsa, Oklahoma, at the Hard Rock Casino and Resort, and we're here for the 2021 Wolfhound reunion, and it's with great pleasure that I get to meet with Ron Leonard. Ron, who I served with in Vietnam in '68 and '69, and Ron was a helicopter crew chief, and he supported us directly. When I was on the ground, you were up above us trying to keep us alive a lot of times. When you usually showed up, it was because we were in a lot of trouble.
Absolutely.
So, Ron, first I want to ask you, where were you born and raised?
I was born in California about 75 years ago, 76 years ago, but I left
What part of California?
Richmond.
Richmond?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
the Bay Area. And then we left when I was like about in the 4th grade, moved to Portland. And we lived there for quite some time. And then when I was 16, I was going out on my own to go ride horses.
Tell me a little bit about your folks.
My dad was a boiler maker, worked for lemon iron and steel. And he was one of the few, at the time when the NASA space program and Sputnik,
Oh, yes.
he was one of the few that could weld all these exotic metals together, like nickel to silver and
Okay.
stuff like that. And my mom, was a cocktail waitress until they split up. And it's kind of a mess after that. We ran around back and forth. And finally, I'll go on my own.
Did you have any brothers or sisters?
One sister,
And what is her name?
Sharon.
And is she alive or working?
No, she died in 2010.
Okay. As far as your service goes, were you drafted or did you join?
I was drafted
Okay. And what year was that?
67.
Okay. What were you doing at the time you were drafted?
I was in Miles City, Montana, and we had a bunch of horses there fixing to give them a race at the bucket horse sale and haul them to Winnipeg.
Okay.
And I went down to pay my hotel bill, and there was my draft notice.
Oh, man.
And so I said, I'll solve this real quick. I'll walk around the corner to the draft board. Say, look, I don't mind going to the Army, but you're going to have to wait till August till I come back. And they said, no, how about you're going to be on the bus and go to Butte at 4 o'clock? I said, how about you kiss my butt? And that spring, I mean, it was a terrible spring. It snowed up until middle of May.
Oh, wow.
And we only had like 4 days to get the racetrack even suitable to do anything with.
Sure.
It's too busy digging snow out from the barn doors. And anyway, they said, well, you can take your wife back to her mother's house. So I did. And there I sat until August. Well, I'm watching the newspapers up in Winnipeg, and they're winning everything under the sun up there. And I was galloping horses for a friend of mine down there, Eddie Giles, until she needed somebody to gallop some horses where we'd have company. And so I did that. And then my draft notice.
Now, Ron, are you talking about the horse racing industry,
Yes.
or are you just talking about a guest ranch where you take people out for rides?
Horse racing.
So this is horse racing we're talking
Yeah.
about. Okay.
And anyway, so I had to go back to Oklahoma City in like August and get on this bus and go to Fort Polk, Louisiana in August.
Huh.
It's like it is out here today, about 100 by 100.
Sure.
And we get off the bus at like 3 in the morning. And here's this black drill sergeant. He says, good morning. I am Sergeant Peters. I'm your mother, your best friend. I am God while you're here. I said, excuse me, but God's a white man. He said, who said that? I said, I did, send me home. And he gave me 20 laps in the low crawl pit, and I got up, knocked the dirt off, and asked him to be sure it was enough. And that's the way I started off basic training, like that. They couldn't hurt me. I was too fit to get hurt.
Sure.
And we had to run that mile around the block. big kids took off up front, and I allowed a guy around the back. And when it was all over, I'd win by about 50 yards.
Mhm.
And they never beat me until the last one. I got beat about 2 feet.
Mhm, mhm.
But anyway, where do you want to go from here?
Well, so when you were in basic,
Yeah,
you got through that. What MOS did you get out of basic?
67A10.
And what is that?
I had no idea at the time.
I don't either. I'm sick.
Well, I figured if 11 Bravo was infantry,
Right.
67 ought to really suck. So it was, what I wound up being is a mechanic on a helicopter. So they sit you through all these little aptitude tests in
Oh, yeah,
basic,
yeah, sure.
and it says, all I do is hunt and fish, you know. Do you like to hunt? Nope. Do you like to fish? Nope. Do you like to drive trucks? Nope. Anything that had to do with dirt and transportation and guns, I didn't want a whole hell of a lot to do with. So I fiddled well, got through that. They decided they'd make a mechanic out of me and sent me down there.
So
And-
where did you do that? Where did you do your advanced training?
Fort Rucker, Alabama.
Rucker, and that, if I recall, Rucker is helicopters.
It is all helicopters.
That's helicopters, okay, okay. So tell me a little bit about that experience.
Well, twisting bolts is boring. You know, I mean, it's basically boring. And I went and did that, but after I'd get off work, you know, during school, Eddie had set it up with Governor Wallace. He had a horse farm right outside the gate. They race horses. So I would make $60 a month in the Army, and I'd make $70 a day galloping horses.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And you could get out, after training, they'd let you go.
Yeah, for a while. And then I needed to go, Governor Wallace and Senator Adams, they said, we've got these colts in a futurity up in Tennessee, and we need you to go up there and ride them for us.
So let me get this straight. These people already figured out you were a jockey.
Oh,
In
yeah.
other words, they knew you were a trained.
Yeah, Eddie called them.
Okay, okay.
And so they knew I was coming. And I went and met them one day, and then we just kind of took it from there. But anyway, he asked me if I wouldn't mind going to Tennessee to ride these colts for him up there. I said, they're not going to give me a pass to go up there. He said, oh, yeah, they will. So he wrote me this, you have him call me this phone number. And so I went in and talked to this company commander of ours, a lieutenant. I said, sir, I need a 3-day pass. And he says, yeah, sure you do, and I need to get laid too. And anyway, so back and forth and back and forth. I said, well, call this number. He said, let me speak with George Wallace. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, sir. I have a specialist letter here that supposed to go to Tennessee to ride some. Yes, sir. No, sir. He'll be on his way shortly. So from then on, I was only in the Army Monday through Thursday.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
So I kind of had it whipped a little bit.
Yeah.
But, and when you get towards the end of it, you know, we got to go fly on some, and oh, I love that. I just got off on it, you know. And anyway, where am I at? Time out for a second.
Well, you were done kind of riding, and now you were actually getting into the
Oh, yeah.
helicopter part of it. Now they're letting you take rides. And
Yeah. And then, anyway, when they finally get down to the end of it, they have, you got KP. Well, since I was in the Army, they don't exactly let you eat diet food. You know, so I'd have to do 115, 116, and I'd get KP. So I would eat breakfast and barf it all over their floor, and they'd send me back and get somebody else. Well, I just do that on purpose anyway. So I was not your normal draftee.
Sure,
you know.
sure.
And anyway, you know, we wind up getting right at the end, and the orders were coming down, and I got mine was for Vietnam.
Okay.
And I talked to George, and he said, you don't have to go if you don't want to go. I said, George, I would rather go to Vietnam and spend one more day in Alabama. And so I went, and I didn't mind it a bit. You know, I mean, I really It was my big adventure, I guess you would call
Okay,
it.
sure.
And then they sent me to, we got on the airplane at Travis. Travis is right across the street from my grandmother's house. I mean, she lives in Vacaville, which is
Oh,
like
yeah,
5 miles.
of course, I know exactly where it's at.
Right out of Lake Berryessa
Yeah.
Road, so it's not even all the way.
That's where I caught the Greyhound bus to go home when
Yeah?
I came back from Vietnam.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But anyway, we got up there, well, that's coming back though, so I've got a cart before the horse here. But anyway, they wind up sending me over there.
So Ron, you're getting ready to go to Vietnam, and all your family comes out to say goodbye. And it was your wife and mom and so forth and so on. It made me wonder, how old were you when you got married?
19.
So you were 19, okay.
Well, I've been on my own since I was 16.
And so how long had you been married?
Well, when I got drafted, I think 5 months when I got drafted.
Okay.
So then it would be less than a year.
So you were kind of a newlywed.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah, yeah. So you're getting ready to go on the plane, and you turn around, and the family's standing there looking sad.
Yeah. I kind of smile and say goodbye. And knowing in the back of my mind I probably ain't coming back. I mean, that's what I was prepared for,
Yeah.
But I was going to do it anyway. My dad was at the Chosom Reservoir in Korea. And he couldn't talk to me about it.
Yeah.
He wouldn't talk to me about it
Yeah.
for whatever reason. And my grandfather was in World War II, and my uncles and stuff. So I've been in the military had been through our whole family.
Yeah.
And so it was just my turn in the barrel, was the way I looked at
Okay.
it.
Where did you land in Vietnam?
Ton Son Nhut.
Okay. And were you immediately assigned to a unit? Did you go to a
No.
reception station? How did that work?
Well, we was over at Benoit, and then they put us on a bus with these screens on the windows. And they said, why is there screens on the windows? To keep them from throwing hand grenades in there.
That's right.
You gotta be kidding me. Here in town like this? Gullible me didn't know any better.
Welcome to Vietnam.
Yeah, and it was muggy, hot, it stunk. It's like when I opened the airplane door, it was like you just hit in the face
Yes.
with a skunk or something, That's what it kind of reminded me.
Mm-hmm.
And then so it was over at the reception station for 3 or 4 days until they figured out what they was going to do with us. And pulling details of certain KP,
Sure.
crap like that. And then finally they sent me the 3/4 cab. And when I'm over there, they didn't know what to do with me. So they had me,
But you were a helicopter mechanic.
yeah, but they didn't have a slot available.
Okay.
So they kept me painting things.
Painting?
Yeah, my name was the painter. If you couldn't paint it, you had to bury it.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
And then that was only for a couple of weeks or so. So then they transferred me. Well, they sent me to Vung Tau to school. And the night I left to go to Vung Tau, a rocket landed in my bunk. And then I got Vung Tau hadn't been rocketed in forever. The night I get to Vung Tau, they got rocketed. And so we go through the whole school thing up there and come back, and then they sent me over to B Company, 25th Aviation. And there I sat, and doing details and this. And they put me under the maintenance program and put me under a sergeant who's really a good guy. He taught me what he could teach me. And
Were you changing oil or doing anything yet?
yeah, with changing oil and pulling regular maintenance stuff. It seemed like they were flying so much that they'd go through a 25-hour inspection every 5 days.
Oh, wow.
I mean, really.
Was that the schedule
No, it's just the way it worked
Every
out.
25 hours you were supposed to?
25 hours you'd have one, and the 50 hours you'd have one, and 100 hours you'd have a major.
Okay, okay,
Then they'd go to 7/25.
okay.
But we were going through inspections habitually, because when I got there, it was just right after Tet. And we'd only lost one KIA, a gunner that took a 51 on the chest, Ed Pike. And then we didn't have anything flyable. The first day of Tet, nothing was flyable. We all shot down, every one of them.
Oh, man.
We had nothing flyable for 5 days after Tet opened. Then we had one gunship of ours and 1 3/4 cabs to make up the only fire team in the division. So it was kind of ugly for a while until we could get some parts and get it all put back together.
And this was in 1968?
Yeah,
Okay,
it was right after Christmas,
okay.
but I think that's right. Yeah, it is. And anyway, but that's the way that started out. And then they got me in maintenance, and I got to go for a little ride over there with a gunship, you know, out to the AOR for bore sight and the rockets. And you get to shoot things up there, and I got to shoot a machine gun, and I said, this is freaking cool. This has got to happen, you know. So our maintenance officer, Captain Strong, I want to fly. You got to wait your turn. Next
Is that
day.
because a lot of guys wanted to fly?
Yeah, but
Okay.
it's totally voluntary. you know.
Okay,
And next day, Captain Strong, I want to fly. You got to wait your turn. This was on and on and on for like a month. And then one day, they scrambled the primary team and the secondary team and the standby team to chain in. And they were a man short. So they run in the helicopter up Mr. Grinnell, probably the best pilot in the whole damn Army. But anyway, he said, well, go get Robbie out of the hangar. So I was out there after chow, buttoning one up for tomorrow. And Jan Farron was up there, hey Ron, you want to go? Ooh, yeah, let's do it. And he got my helmet on and chicken board on, put the gun on the mount, and somewhere in the back of my little head I said, this might not be the smartest thing you ever did. Too late.
yeah.
Well, now look at, get in and look at
Did
Jordan.
they strap you into that,
Well, it's just
into
a
that
chicken
position?
board.
What,
No,
what
no,
did you
no.
call it?
It says chicken, it's a monkey strap.
Okay.
It's just around your waist.
Like a,
and
like a seat belt?
yeah, there's 10 feet of slack in it, though. I mean, you can go get out and refuel.
Oh, okay, so it's a,
And then-
it's a tether, it's quite
Yeah.
a 10-foot
Yeah,
tether
I was out
line.
refueling one day, and they took off. And there I am at the end of this. They said, hey, where's Ron? He said, they had to put it back down without crushing me. So I could get back in. I was
Sure,
pissed.
Sure.
But anyway, you know, we got there out there with Mr. Goodell. They just looked over the back seat and he said, you'll be just fine. They put me at ease. But one thing he didn't warn me about is rocket caps. On the left side, when they shoot a rocket, there's a little electrical contact that ignites the rocket, and they come in. On the right side, they go out. They always go this way. My left shin gets hit. You know, that electrical cap was stuck in my shin bone.
Oh, gosh.
That's what I'm shot. Already shot, and I didn't done shit. And I get back there, that thing is stuck in my shin bone. And we got out there, and he said, well, there's only one grunt in the hole, or gook in the hole out there. That's the whole project. We'll get him out of there, and then we'll go home. I said, so, okay, we'll do that. He's going to roll in and go that way, and going to shoot some rockets off and break off like that. I'll cover this side over here. Everything's cool. Well, that's not precisely the way George saw it. He saw it, you go to 1,500 feet, point this thing straight down, and you punch up rockets all the way to the ground, and then you turn right. And when we got back, we had mud all over the windshield, shrapnel holes in the chin bubble, and when he turned right, my machine gun went that way, And then we chopped a tree down on the way out of there. And I puked. And I say, never, ever, ever puke in a helicopter with the doors open. It's very much like puking in a blender with the lid off. So we get back and they're all laughing their butt off. I mean, they pry that little thing out of my shin bone. Say, ah, you'll be right, little iodine.
Sure,
sure. And I said, well, what do you think? I'm sitting there like that. That was the coolest thing I ever did.
Yeah.
That's better than sex.
Yeah.
And so I immediately wrote my mom, send me some shin guards.
Did you?
You betcha. Get me a. I had a set of soccer shin guards, one, and I found one somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
And it destroyed it. So I wanted a catcher's shin guard.
Right.
So anyway, that's the way that went. And then I still didn't get to fly for a while. And then about a month later, I got my own aircraft, 459. It was hilarious. I mean, it was a pig. It was terrible. It was a B model.
Okay.
And we had the grunts, when they come in the country, they put them through like some mock CAs.
Yeah.
Well, they put them in a mock CA, and they got hit. And we're up there. We couldn't even dive to shoot rockets. It was too weak. All I could do is cover it with a machine gun as best as I could. And Art Rabbit got shot down, and he got shot up bad enough to go to Japan. And I haven't seen him since. I've talked to him,
For heaven's sake.
but I haven't seen him. But anyway, it started off like that, and then about a week later, we had another mission. They just put the gun mounts were new, and you got like in the front, you know, it kind of goes over this thing like this, and then there's two springs at the back that catches it like this. And I shoot left-handed on the left side. That way I can feed it this way and do what I want. And it come off the mount. And he's braking left, and the gun comes off, and I got it like this. And it comes inside, shoots the skids off, shoots holes in the floorboard, shoots the chin bubble out, shoots the pilot in the heel of the boot, blow a hole in the pedal, and there's Mr. Moore. Mayday, 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 my crew chief's trying to kill me.
That was Chuck?
No,
Oh.
that was the other Haymore.
Okay.
And so they took my ship away and grounded me.
Did that ship go down?
No.
Oh.
We just shot to hell. And so 2 days later, Mosley, with Mr. Stock, on the other side, different aircraft, but the same gun mounts. They're out there doing something, and he had to brake right like that, and it come off on Mosley, and it come inside, and he shot the fire extinguisher, shut the windshield out, shot up the dashboard, and then shot up the floorboard before he could turn loose of it. And we said, there's a major problem here.
There's a design flaw somewhere.
Yeah, something, and the springs were too weak.
Oh.
So they gave me my aircraft back, and then it was an interesting.
Did they redesign that mount then?
They just put bigger springs in it. Is all it
Okay.
needed
And
done.
that held up
Yeah,
then?
yeah. They were just like old springs you would find out of a ballpoint pen, I think.
Yep.
So putting a real spring in there.
Yep.
But that's the way that all occurred, and then it was kind of slack time for a little while, and then about May, about May of '68. So well, they started that second offensive. They'd already pushed them back as far as we could into Cambodia. And then they started inching back in, and we're out pulling Firefly missions down the river. And we had, well, one thing a lot of people...
Why don't you tell folks what Firefly mission means?
Well, because we had a spotlight. fly down the river, you know, in the middle of the dark looking for sampans.
Okay.
And we decided we needed to do something a little better. And so Ace Paradise had 961. It was our smoke ship. He says, I need some more firepower, you know. So can I put a minigun in the door? And he talks to Captain Strong, and Captain Strong says, be my guest.
Mm-hmm.
We'll let you do it if you want to, if you think it's necessary. And so Ace was a good welder.
Mm-hmm.
He borrowed the shop, built the mount, wired it. You know, you had two cyclics. You pull this one, and it arms it, and you pull this one, and it fires. But it's controlled on a circuit breaker that the pilot has to push in for it to activate. And anyway, we got it all built, and he got to fire it out of the back of a truck, and it worked like a champ.
For heaven's sake.
And then we put it in the aircraft. We'd stolen an ammo tray from a Cobra, and we stole a minigun from the 116th next door, and other stuff, metal we got from different places. And anyway, we wind up all of it put together on the web page. You find Ace Paradise, and then you open that picture, and inside it is the original drawings, and then the pictures from where they were firing it out of the truck. And the only difference between the minigun that we made then and the ones that they use right now is they've refined the mount just a little bit.
For heaven's sake.
Very little difference. But
Was he able to use that then? Did he?
oh,
was that an
he never
effective-
did get to fire it except out of the truck. But we did was we took and how do you say that? Well, we just used it like it was for a while. We'd use the landing light to find it. We said, we need some more light. So we went and stole one of them xenon lights off a tank.
The arc lights. Yeah.
Put that sucker on there. And now that lit up the neighborhood. But we didn't want to do that exactly either. So we went and stole a starlight scope.
Okay.
So we went from the gun to the starlight scope, and then we would turn it on.
Oh, yeah.
And that worked like a champ. And so we're flying along out there on the river, and we see this convoy of trucks coming in from Cambodia. We called it in. Said, we've got visitors. Can we go wake them up a little bit? No, you can't shoot over in Cambodia. Okay, we won't. Ronnie, wasn't there a sampan under that bridge down there? No. You sure? Yep, there's a sampan down there. And so we took a round trip and come back to that bridge, and he did a right pedal kick and salvoed 36 rockets right up the middle of the highway. There was secondary explosions going off for 3 days.
Good.
That whole convoy was about 1.5 miles long, and it was pure 122s.
Oh.
And they were going to court-martial all of us. And they decided, well, we probably saved a bunch of lives.
You think? Yeah.
And so they didn't, we got a bunch of stink over it,
Yeah.
but that's all. And then, I don't know, I'm trying to figure out where I'm at here.
Is that when Mole City started to come up?
No, Mole City was a little later.
Okay.
It was in December.
Okay.
So we're still in about May and June. And, but there wasn't much going on right then. So, well, that's when we built the swimming pool.
Okay.
And this is a funny story. I walked out of the hooch one morning, and here's the mama's house digging in the ground with an entrenching tool. I thought, what are they doing? Digging a swimming pool. I said, you realize the wars are going to be over before that. Why don't you go get a bulldozer? Oh, we tried that. Well, what did you offer the engineers? Nothing. We tried to order them to do it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let me go see what I can do. So I go over to the engineers. I don't want to find a CO or nothing. I just want a bulldozer driver. And so I went into the club over there and found one. Listen, man, we got a project over here we kind of need some help with. Like what? like digging a swimming pool. Go fuck yourself. I ain't gonna dig no swimming pool. We done told that damn first sergeant here to go to hell. What did he offer you? Nothing. Well, how about 20 cases of beer? We can get beer anytime. With ice? And he said, if you can get the ice, we'll do the deed.
Oh, my.
So I said, okay, it's cool. Now all we got to do is find the frickin' ice. So my gunner, mentioning no names, but he had a choice: go to Vietnam or go to jail for stealing cars. So we asked Captain Strong if he would mind if we went to Saigon to go to the PX with the parts ship. And oh yeah, but don't take too long and don't keep them all hung up. So that's the way it happened. We go up there. Albert steals a truck, comes back with 500 pounds of ice, tarps it down in the middle of the cargo hold, and here come the parts, and there ain't no room. And the pilot's throwing a shit fit. He was jumping up and down like a little mammy rooster. I said, sir, sometimes you just have to roll with the flow. But the more you scream, the more it's melting.
Yeah.
And so we flew it back in there, unloaded it in the cattle trough, throw in the beer, and then we went and got the parts. When we get back, here's Captain Strong, got us all lined up there, marching back and forth with hands behind his back. He says, whose brilliant idea was this? Well, we kind of divided it up a little bit. And we're going to all get an Article 15. And then the next day we wind up to save the the engineers were out in the hobo woods.
Yep.
They were going out there with like 4 or 5 rolling plows.
Oh, yeah.
And some PCs and a PC retriever and a couple of tanks. By the time we got down there, they were back to a retriever and a PC. And they got a bunch of people hurt. But anyway, so they went ahead and dug this hole. And then we had to have water. Oh no, first we had to have a pool liner. And we couldn't find any concrete, couldn't find any, is that lightweight concrete you spray on there behind the wire?
Yeah.
Sackcrete or something like
Yeah.
that. But anyway, we couldn't find any of that, so, well, the only thing we can do, let's line the hole with sandbags to start with, just to keep it from caving in. So it was 50,000 sandbags. And the Mamasans did all them.
Sure.
And then we're flying along there. We had to go over by Lung Chau and help the Aussies. And we're coming back to Stansanut. And I look over there and say, what's that thing over there? What? That black thing. Oh, that's a fuel bladder for them jets. That looks like a swimming pool liner if I ever saw one.
Yep.
And park it, let me go see what we can do. Tried to negotiate with the Air Force? No. They won't negotiate, they won't order one, won't sell none. So they left us no choice. We had to steal one, but we can't steal that one.
Yeah.
We have to find one someplace else. So about a month later, we're out on a mission, and you hear the mule skidders. So Diamond, this is mule skidder 20. We're inbound with your black thing. And they'd scrambled a slick, cut it all loose and haul ass. They'd come back and here's this thing that's draped like that, and he's lowering it into the hole that goes like that. And that stuff was thick.
Oh, yeah.
I think we had to cut it with a bayonet.
Yeah.
But anyway, we get that thing cut in there, and then somebody went and stole General Williamson's diving board. To this day, I don't know who did it. I really don't. So they had another formation, they had everybody lined up out there, so we had till 4 o'clock to put it back where it came from. So everybody was gonna get in trouble. In the meantime, you're all on pool detail until this thing is finished. And anyway, we did that. And we had to have water, so we had to go back to the engineers. How much to get water? A fish fry. Yeah, right. Now, where the hell am I supposed to get all these fish at? That's your problem. I said, okay, I'll get a fishing pole. Went down the river, 2 carp in 2 days. That wasn't going to work. So I went and we improvised a flight down to the Arvins, got one of those little Zodiacs, and 2 cases of concussion grenades, and a dip net. Boop, boop, blow, blow, fill up a boat full of fish, and bring them back and give them to the engineers to clean. And they, what are we going to do with them? You want a fish fry? Clean the fish.
Yeah.
We'll fry them. And he says, what are they? That wasn't on the requisition slip, just fish. He said, but that one's a carp, and that one's a catfish. And I don't know what that fangtooth sucker is there.
Yeah.
But anyway, they did that, and then we had to fill it up with water, and then we all got ear infection. So they let us drill a well eventually and put the chemicals in it.
Yeah.
And then we built a deck out of ammo boxes around the pool.
Yep.
And then we had to have a diving board. And the only thing we could figure out we could make a diving board out of is a rotor blade.
Oh.
So he said, I don't know how bouncy this thing is.
Oh,
But he says, I want to try
It's
it.
going to be bouncy.
I want to try it. You know, okay, all right. But we don't know where you're going to go. And we built it's like a thing to hold the back of it, and then it goes over the top of this other part. So we're playing with it, sliding it in and out.
Yeah.
And we left it out about as far as from here to that desk. And he goes, ping! And Whitey wound up down at the other end of the pool, and it curves because of the shape of the...
Sure.
He curved it, it landed on the deck, broke his arm.
Oh, jeez.
Well, that's too much. So we shortened it up until we got it about right.
Yeah.
And then it wound up being pretty good after that.
Yeah. Let's skip ahead a little bit and get into Mole City.
Yeah,
Tell me about Mole City.
it was ugly. Really ugly. We knew they were going to do it. I mean, we knew it a week in advance that they were going to do this. And I never thought about it until way later than ever. It was just a bait and trap situation. We're the bait and springing a trap on them guys. And that was dirty pools, the way I looked at it. But when it all evolved, the mule skinners hauled in a bulldozer, a little small bulldozer that shaped the perimeter and dug the trenches. And then they had a company of Manchus in there. And they were filling sandbags like crazy. And they've got 3 strands of concertina wire out there with the booby traps in them, the claymore set, the foo gas, and everything. And they built it in 12 hours. And then they're sitting there about that evening. Said, look, there's an NVA general or something over there looking at us with the field glasses. You want to pop in? He said, nah, wait till tonight, we'll get all of them. I go, well, I guess they're looking for it. And so we go back home, you know. We're sitting there waiting in the scramble shack for something to happen. And about midnight, the phone rang, and we bolt and go. And when we get out there, it looks like the 4th of July. I mean, literally. Now, if you'd have read General Williams's diary that I gave you, he said it was no big deal. He wasn't even there at all. But anyway, we come out and rearmed, refueled twice, and then we called the jets in, and they brought the napalm. And they had Jose Olay and a couple other guys. It was an LP. It was out like three hedgerows out in there. And the first jet started headed for that first hedgerow, and they said, no, we got to get out of here. And they bolted to the next one, and the napalm went off and took that one out. And then here come another one. They got a bolt for the next hedgerow that took that one out. And then the third one, that here they come and there's no more hedgerows to go. They said, well, we're fucked. And it was all they had left was a 500-pound HE, and it was short. So they got out of it okay, but they got back in without anybody getting whacked on that. On the other side, they had a bunch more coming from the Cambodian border side, and they had another LP over there that was pinned down all night long. It was out in it. It was directing fire.
Yep.
Called an army and directed the jets and talking to us. And anyway, the jets, when they come by, I mean, they say they're going to go north to south, and we get off to east to the west. And they'll fly by, and it's just a hiss until they get by, and then the motor, like that. It's weird. I mean, it's eerie almost. Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, after they do that, we're rearming and refueling, and there's one of our slicks out there, and they called them over to the headquarters over there at the airfield, and generals in there. Some said, look, we gotta haul ammunition out there. You know, if you don't, they're not going to make it.
They're going to be toast.
Yeah, and so we kicked it around. Well, we got to do this. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. So we figured out a plan. You know, there's three of them. We go in there abreast, one up high, one down low, and the slick with us down low. And the one up high, they'll turn the landing light on to draw the fire. Right before they got in there, they did that, and that drew the fire up. And but we didn't have enough people. You had to have the gunners on the slick too, and you got nobody to kick out the ammo. So there's a couple of kids working in the rearm point. I thought, you guys want to go for a ride? Oh yeah, this will be cool. Yeah. I said, well, it will be a ride they remember for the rest of their life. But it was no choice.
Yep.
And we decided we'd stay off to the east and circle up, black it out, and come down and do it. And we did that. We got the ammo ship got shot out pretty bad, you know, but nobody got hurt. Mm-hmm. And one round went through a oil line, so they had all the lights were on, you know, but they wasn't going to set it down there. They wasn't going to set it down anywhere close to there. So we'll go till we run out of whatever we're going to run out of. Yeah. And they made it just inside the wire chain in. Wow. They got in the chain in, and nobody got hurt. And then we wind up strafing all of it. And they called Artie right on top of themselves, like the movie Platoon, just the same thing as that. And they had...
Same thing we had to do at Diamond One.
Did you?
Same identical thing.
Then they had one kid, I forget what his name is exactly, he wrote a book about this. And anyway, they had gotten in and taken over about 4 or 5 bunkers. And one Vietnamese had come in and got killed and fell down on top of him. And some more come in and decided they didn't move, you know. But, so we had our guys wind up having to blow it open with a Laws rocket to get it out of there. Mm-hmm. They finally pulled it. One kid out was alive underneath that pile of bodies. And he was toast after that. Yeah. But we went out there and looked at it. I mean, they were shooting nothing but flechettes.
Oh, yeah.
So all they were shooting was flechettes, chest-high flechettes, and maybe ball bearings, you know, whatever they call them things. Killer Juniors, I guess. Mm-hmm. But they're just shooting the hell out of things. And when it was all done, they found like 600 or 700 bodies. The ones that they found, and there's blood trails everywhere.
Sure.
And I went out there the next morning, such carnage you never saw. I go, oh man. But they really didn't lose that many people. I think 23. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was surprising.
One of the things I want to, before we wind this up, You told me, I'm really interested in hearing what it was like to crash a helicopter. I think you told me you were in a.
Each one. We have been there with Chuck.
Tell us about that.
Well, we're on a sniffer mission coming home, you know. So Chuck decides he's going to fly in formation with us. And he got too close.
This is Chuck
More.
Okay.
And his blades were about this far off my rocket pods. And I said, hey, tell Chuck to move over. He's way, way, way too close. And this is scary. And my gunner's a brand new guy.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the sniffer missions are nothing new. It's a good training mission. And so Chuck decides to do it slickly. He goes like that. And he misjudged it about a foot. And it took about a foot off of our rotor blades.
Oh, so you hit rotor blades?
Yeah. And when he went like that, they proceeded upside down. They was going 180 knots upside down when they went in their ice paddy.
Chuck Moore's?
Yeah, him and Conger. You didn't know that?
No.
That's what happened. And us.
What does it feel like when you got half a blade chopped off? I mean, that's got to be
helpless.
I mean, it's got to be like unbalanced.
Talk about vibration.
That's what I'm
it's
thinking.
Like 100 to 1, you know.
Oh.
I mean, it's the one that the top stayed on. And but anyway, you know, it was blam like that. Oh, fuck! It was scared. No, I was pissed off. And this thing was vibrating so bad, it vibrated the ammo boxes out of the doors. One machine gun was gone.
Man,
completely.
that thing must have just felt like it was coming apart.
And you look at the trees, and they looked about that tall. And we said, we're fucking dead. We're just going to get to watch it happen here for a little while. And I was pissed, you know. I told Chuck, when we get to the top of the, Hainmore, I said, when we get to the top of the trees, I'm out of here. You can't jump out of the ship. I'm not Captain Ahab. You have to go down with the ship, not me. And I was ready to get out of it. And somehow or another, Nolan and Hain got this damn nose up and splashed it in. And I stayed in. But the jockey box up there on the side had my camera in it, that was gone. The lid was gone off of it even. All the ammo cans were gone. One gun we had with 4 rounds. Two M16s out the door. One pilot lost his pistol, vibrated out the door. And when they got it all done, Hayden's sitting there in the mud and the helicopter's going like this, banging over here and banging back and banging on my wrist and grabbed him around the neck. I said, why don't you just sit here until the thing stops flopping around before you get your head chopped off out there? And anyway, so we get out of there and said, we made a perimeter. Yeah, right, a perimeter, 4 people, 1 machine gun, 4 bullets, and a pistol. And a lucky LOH that was there, flying orbiting over us all. And then
what about Chuck Moore and his ship? It went upside down?
Yeah,
So
he broke his nose.
But what were you thinking? Did you think they're toast?
I figured they were dead.
They were done, yeah.
I figured they were dead, you know, I mean, we had no idea, we weren't
to
communicating too good right
to see
then.
one go upside down,
Yeah.
I mean, that must have just, you'd have probably thought, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, but it was in 3 feet of mud, he's lucky. Could have been dry dirt, could have been all over.
My.
Both of us, all of it. We'd have burned up. It's like
How did you get out of there?
The sniff ship come back and got us. And we go back to the base camp. All I wanted was my picture, my camera, where I could take some fucking pictures. And the next day I come apart. Not right then. It took me about a day to figure out that you're either the luckiest or unluckiest person in the universe.
Yeah.
Because my mind was fried. And I told Captain Strong, I quit. I can't do this. I want to quit. What do you want to be? A cook? What do you know about cooking? more than they do. And
Now, this is serious.
that's serious.
Oh, okay. You're not kidding.
No, I'm dead serious. And so the mess sergeant, first meal, he gives me a meatloaf. Now, what I know about meatloaf, it has onions and peppers and mushrooms and tomato sauce and bubble, bubble, bubble like Mama used to
Sure,
make.
yeah, of course.
Well, of course, the Army's isn't that way. It's a lump of hamburger, and that's about the extent of it.
Pretty much.
So I made this up like that. The mess sergeant went ape shit. Where'd you get all this stuff to go? I scrounged it. And the pilot said, leave him the fuck alone. And they cleaned it all up. Then they had Swiss steak. Now that is what you call, you need a chainsaw to cut it, usually.
Yep.
But when I got done with it, it cooked all day
With a fork.
with a fork, and the mess sergeant threw a fit. Leave him the fuck alone. This is the first time this thing has had the pot lick tried. And then it went on like that for a while, and I had my wife send me 5 pounds of pinto beans. And we didn't have nothing to cook them in, so I had a popcorn popper. So we cooked the beans in a popcorn popper, and then one of the other cooks went, bullshit, take that thing in the mess hall and we'll cook them right. And so we had beans for a change, because half the company was from Oklahoma and Texas anyway. And we had to get that done. And then I decided, well, I really would like to fly a little bit, you know, and so I would trade off. Somebody wanted a day off, I'd sub for them. In the meantime, I'm still going to the chaplain, discussing all this.
Oh, yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And I didn't know what to do, you know, but hell, I've always been an athlete. This is just a minor setback here.
Sure.
And anyway, that's the way that goes. And then we went to Hawaii, see my wife. And I was shocked, you know. I fly into Hawaii, looking out the window down there on the ground. It's all so clean. You know, it looked like you could eat off the runway.
Yeah.
And we'd stand, I think I put us up in the Ilokai East or something like that. And my wife was going to be another 6 or 7 hours, and she got there. So I went and rented a car and went tooling around a little bit. When she got home, got there, we took a little trip, do what you usually do.
Sure,
you know.
sure.
And then she went home. It seemed like it was about 2 days, and she was gone, you know. And I was sick. Then a little while later, well, I'm not going to touch on that, but I wound up being, no, don't want to do that.
So, did you have any kids with her?
Yeah.
How many kids did you have?
6.
6 kids. And they're all
I scattered all over.
grandkids?
19, I think.
Great-grandkids?
2.
You've got me beat. I've got 3 great-grandkids, but I only have 12 grandkids.
Yeah. Well, I've got one that is a little bitty one. You know, we took him to Branson about a month ago, and took him to a concert, Fleetwood Mac.
Oh, yeah.
And he can't even walk, you know. But he's standing in a mama's lap, and the band goes off, and he's jumping up and
Oh,
down.
sure. Oh,
He's
yeah.
going completely nuts. And he wore out 3 adults. And that lady on the Stevie says, that's the youngest Fleetwood Mac fan I ever seen.
Go. So what did you do when you came home?
Well, I guess I'm going to have to tell all, I got to go back just a little ways. When I went to Hawaii, my wife was already pregnant. And she tried to lay it off on me.
I gotcha.
But it didn't add up, you know, 6 months.
Right.
9 pounds and 14 ounces in 6 months. No way.
Right.
So anyway, so I went nuts. I wanted to go home, kill somebody, whatever. And they wouldn't let me. And Anyway, when I got home, I've got to back up some more. When we got back from Hawaii, we were stuck in Saigon for a while, so 2 extra days. No, that's not true either. No, it comes later. But anyway, I mean, I was upset.
I can imagine.
Yeah, I was upset. And I couldn't do anything about it until I got home.
Yep.
And so I extended for a while, so I'd be out of the
Oh,
military.
okay, so you wanted to, when you got off, you're done.
Yeah.
You didn't
When I
want
got
any
out,
time,
no.
yeah, you didn't want any time to serve.
A mistake, a big, big mistake. That was the biggest mistake I ever made in my life, was getting straight out, going from killing somebody today to a civilian tomorrow. No unwind time, wind down time,
Yep.
no nothing. And no talk about what's PTSD, nothing. I just out on my own. So when I got home, this is just going to get mixed up a little bit.
It's okay. Oh,
But when I got home, I was angry. I went to my dad's house and I couldn't talk to him. So I went to my mother's in Oregon and talked to her. My uncle picked me up at the Air Force base up there. And he still in my uniform and everything. And he took me to this little bar out there. And just a little podunk
Sure.
out in the country bar.
Yep.
And I got set down at the end and I had to drink all the mistakes. With 4 people in that bar, there was no way those all were mistakes. You know, I was blasted.
Yeah.
And he was an old rattly bag pickup truck, you know. I come in the yard and I fell out in the mud hole. And he said, "Where's Ronnie?" He's laying out there in the mud hole. "What'd you let him do that for?" He fell out, I didn't. He made me go get me in. And I woke up the next morning and talked to my mom. He said, "Well, let me think about it for a little." So about a half a day or so went by, and says, "You got but 2 choices. Put your big boy pants on and raise the kid, or get a divorce. You pick." So I thought about it. So I said, well, it was over. In a situation like that, you're really over a barrel, you know? I mean, you've been gone for so long, you just want to be accepted. And glad you're home. Well, I didn't get that. And so anyway, I wound up decided I'd go try it, see what happened. And so I got on a little hop that ran all over the place and wound up in Oklahoma City. And then caught a ride down here and put myself up in a motel. We had a little chit chat. She came over to see me. And the only thing I wanted to know is, who is this guy? And where's my 308 at? That's the only thing I want. Who is he? And where's my 308? And she brought me the 308. And he was out at the base. He was stationed in McAllister. He was a Marine. And I'm glad he was transferred already, because I'd have probably been dead by now in jail.
Sure.
So anyway, that's all solved, basically, you know. It still stings.
Sure.
You know. But now he's probably my best friend. He really is, you know. It's a pain in the ass to raise.
Yeah.
But all this goes in the book. You know, none of them is going to know nothing.
Yeah.
Until it's sprung on them.
Yep.
Then they can see how I feel about everything. You know, like being up here. I mean, it's just 90 miles from here. Why ain't she here? It's the same thing. It's always the same thing. I'm in Alaska 9 months out of the year, 6 months out of the year. Never there. So I just shine it.
Yeah. So, anyway, what I was going to get to is what career did you get into when you came back?
Well, I was still riding horses, but I've always, when I was going to high school, junior high school, we had shop, and you had 6 weeks, six-week sessions. You have drafting,
Yep,
machine shop, welding,
yep,
carpentry,
auto.
and yeah, that's about it. And so I would do that. The point was, I didn't want to build none of it, I just wanted to draw it. So I figured right then I was going to be a draftsman, or
Okay.
a designer, or an engineer, or something along that nature, because I was good at it.
Yeah,
And so that's the way that happened. It just was kind of built into me to do that.
mm-hmm,
And so that's the way it was. I would drive horses until I got tired, and in the wintertime, and I'd work for Mason's Engineering or something.
mm-hmm,
And I've done that my entire life.
okay. And then at some point, you decided you were going to take on that project about doing a website for the 25th Aviation.
Yeah,
When was that?
in 2001.
Okay,
Because I would progress from riding racehorses to training racehorses, and I know what good horses are, because I've had a couple dealings with a couple of Derby winners, so I know what they're like. This one colt was just like that. I wouldn't have traded him for either one of the other two.
mm-hmm,
And he shattered a knee in the stall. And so that was toast. And so I couldn't do anything. I flipped out. And so I got to get away. And so, well, like where? As far away from horses as I can get, like Alaska.
okay,
So I took off and made plans and drove up there. The wife's a manager for Walmart, so she got transferred up there. And I said, well, I'm going to drive anyway. That's what I want to do. So I drove up and saw all my old friends in our Montana and Idaho and
yep,
Utah and
yep,
BC, Alberta, just fiddle part around up there until I got up there. And she stayed about a year. And she said, well, I have to go back to McAllister. In June? Why? I have to do what I have to do. The Reds are running and you have to do what you have to do. Well, have at it. I'm not going. Well, you're not coming at all? Well, when I get cold, I'll come down.
sure, sure.
So that was that way every year for years. And that's the way that occurred.
Mm-hmm,
And they called me to try and come back. I don't want to come back.
yeah,
I can't. I physically can't.
Yeah.
You know, it's too much. You're never going to get another shot like that.
mm-hmm.
No.
Well, you sure have done a lot of work
Yeah.
with that website and
Well-
and with, you know,
No.
I mean, I know, for me, when I found that website, it just gave me, it filled in so many gaps
Oh yeah.
for me. You know, and I was trying to do the same thing you were. You know, I was trying to build a website and I was trying to find the guys and
Yeah.
so forth and so on.
Finding
So-
the guys for me was the easy part, because Bobby Brescia was a gunner of ours.
Okay,
He wound up being the Attorney General in New Jersey.
okay,
So I would send in the service numbers, which is Social Security numbers. I'd send them to him, and I'd send them to him about 10 at a time, and he'd send them back to me. This guy's dead, or here's where he lives at, or
Yep,
whatever.
yep.
And if you tell anybody, I'll kill
oh,
you.
of course, yeah,
And so I wound up finding most of them pretty quick. I mean, wasn't really all that many of us, you know, probably 300 total from the whole war.
mm-hmm,
And we'd found most of them, but about a third were dead already
mm-hmm.
by then. And like Mosley and Salazar, they crewed 961 for 2 tours. They stayed together for 2 tours, and they went home. And They'd been looking for each other for about 30 years. And then I got both the information the same day. They were both on the same orders. And Pancho calls me and says, "You found Jack yet?" "No, not yet, but might hear something pretty soon." And about 20 minutes later,
Oh, for heaven's sake, yep.
Jack called, "You found Pancho yet?" "Yeah." "Where's he at?" "He's in South Dallas." "Where are you at?" "Sanger."
Yeah.
30 miles. By 5 o'clock, we're back together again.
Yeah, that story happened with us too, same thing.
Yeah. Well, somebody was 2 miles apart?
Exactly. Well, Ron, we got to wrap this interview up, but I just wanted to ask you if there was any advice that you'd want to give to your grandkids, what would that be?
Truthfully,
Yeah.
until we get a change of administration, don't even think about joining the military.
Okay.
That's what I would think, because they're going to get you killed with the politics and policies. It's too much woke vision, and I wouldn't join. Period. Now, at all, under no circumstances.
Yeah.
But that's my feelings on that.
Yeah.
And as diehard, red-blooded American patriot as I am, I'm probably looking more we have a civil war before we have anything.
Well, I've got to tell you one thing, of all the guys that I've known and served with and interviewed, you've probably got one of the most interesting lives
It's been interesting.
and
Yes.
careers, and you had a lot of war. You served in a lot of war,
Yeah.
and you survived it.
Yeah,
And you've come out, and you know what, you've forged ahead.
well,
And
I'll add one more thing, though, that you go back to when that web page was formed. The reason it was formed is I was looking for my gunner. And I couldn't find him, but I found George Smith, our avionics guy, who sent me a CD of pictures. And I made the basics to that web page out of it. And a little girl called me. "Did you know my dad? Michelle Crommerford." And I did, but he got killed when she was about that big. And I told her, "I'm going to turn your name over to some friends of mine, and they'll tell you everything you want to know about your dad."
Right.
And about 2 weeks later, I get this email back, and she says, "You are my angel of the internet. You've given me a reason to live, and my dad a reason for being." And the webpage begins.
Well, and not only that, it made it all worthwhile.
Oh, yeah, well,
So,
it rocked me to my soul.
absolutely.
That-
Well, buddy, listen, thank you
You bet.
for your service, and thanks for taking the time to do this with us.